What's up guys, Bluddshed here, bringing you the Vyrs Archon Lightning Wizard for Diablo 3 patch 264 in Season 16. Now this wizard build in particular is the Hadrig's gift for Season 16. Okay, so it's also getting some huge buffs to go with it. And it's one of the easiest ways to break into T13 as well. There's a lot of different ways you can build it. I'm going to put my favorite build in the description below. You're immune to crowd control. And when you get those snappy mantled procs, like when you stun, it procs mantled heal and it does like 14,000 lightning damage, 14,000 damage to the enemy. It's really satisfying. And it still procs on juggernaut mobs. So you're not really afraid of no jugs too much because you still get a lot of your bulk damage burst from it. So even though you can't CC jugs, it still does proc on them. Pretty chill for T13. It's like cruising, you get infinite teleports. If you don't know about the wizard, any abilities you use, they also affect the Archon form. So if you use something like the Crown of the Primus, that slow time grants every rune, when you use slow time on Archon form, you get that. The Cosmic Strand, it gives teleport a double teleport, like the Wormhole rune. It actually affects Archon as well. So there is some interesting crossover, and with the Ring of Royal Grandeur season, you can mix and match almost anything. It's really interesting. So normally you wear the Swami in the cube, and I'll go over this, I'll show you the build. Normally you wear the Swami in the cube, but now you would wear it on your character if you're in the Ring of Royal Grandeur season, and then you can put anything you want in the armor slot, from like Leoric's Crown to Aquila Cuirass, or like just anything that is like an interesting synergy for your character. So it's kind of cool. This build in particular probably benefits the most from the Ring of Royal Grandeur season, where you're not just using like an Avarice band, which you can, I guess. You're not just using one particular thing. There's going to be some interesting combos with the setup, and I can't wait to see what everyone comes up with. This is just my personal favorite setup with the build. And like I said, I'll have a full starter package for Wizard for every class before the season goes live. So if you're nervous about trying a new class or trying Wizard, I will have full like walkthroughs on tips and tricks of what to do with every step of the process. All right, let's talk about how to play the build, the most important things. First things first is you have to have lightning damage on your bracers. Your highest element will change the Archon's damage type. So you can see my beam looks like it's lightning, right? It looks like a lightning beam because it's my highest element. It'll actually change depending on your highest element. Let's go ahead and put on a cold bracer just to demonstrate. So now we have cold. Again, there's no other element anywhere else. So my highest is cold. You pop Archon and boom, now you have a cold beam, just like that. So first things first, make sure lightning is your highest element, and that is going to proc off of your paralysis passive. So lightning spells, now that our Archon does lightning spells, it has a chance to stun our target with our paralysis passive, right? Once we stun with that passive, it's proccing mantled heal. So this is all to proc this mantled heal. Lightning powers up Archon. Archon uses our passive stuns proc mantled. Mantled does up to 14,000% damage. And that's basically how the build works. There's things like the Swami. You get to keep your Archon stacks after Archon expires. There's things like Fazula. As soon as you pop Archon form, you get some stacks, right? You get 50 stacks. So you get a lot of damage right off the bat. But really, the lightning into the passive, stun into the mantled is the base of the build. So that's how you play Archon, basically. When you're out of Archon form, you get back into it by using Arcane Torrent. It attacks super fast. It has lots of damage, spread everything. It's proccing your Zodiac Ring, right? I have it in the cube because it doesn't have any stats on it. You spam this to get back into Archon. You get back in really fast. The more cooldown you have, the faster you get back into it. The first time you pop into Archon, you want to spam Q, and you want to use your beam at the same time. So you're teleporting, you're spamming the Q. You just tap slow time one time to keep the bubble up. You're just spamming, teleporting around like this, right? Once you have your stacks, you'll get double stacks. So if you notice in the video, eventually they start to stack on top of each other. Once I have my 2 Archon stacks, I stop DPSing with Q because I can actually get Mantled to proc off that. You can't get Mantled to proc at the same exact time. So if I'm shooting the Rift Guardian, right here, let's say Shen's the Rift Guardian, and I'm spamming Q, Mantled can actually proc on this spell, and then it's not procking in the direction that I'm aiming. So when I want to build up my stacks, I will spam my first ability and the beam. So now, boom, I have double stack. At this point, I'm not going to spam Q anymore because I'm fully beefed up, and I'm probably just going to use the beam now. That way, whenever it procs, it's exactly where I want it to go, not on some enemy behind me. If I'm just spamming Q, it can proc on these dudes like this, and I'd rather be more focused with it. Sometimes if I'm not paying attention or whatever, then I don't care, but yeah, typically you just want to aim that way, that whole beam, and you want to wiggle it. It kind of has like a split second when it procs, and you want to wiggle the beam just a little bit. I know I'm kind of over talking about the gameplay, but it really will change the way you play it. Just a little waggle. You'll get used to it. If you notice it's not procking, whoops, wiggle it, baby. Just wiggle, baby, wiggle, baby. And like I was saying, your other items affect Archon. So like this gives me the wormhole effect. So you get a double jump. It feels really nice. You get a double jump. Normally you just have to wait for the internal cooldown, but with this you don't. And if I was to use, say, the Crown of the Primus, slow time gains the effect of every room. It also affects the runes from Archon. Right before I'm about to pop out of Archon form, I try to make sure I'm in a safe position. Like you can kind of see when Archon form's expiring, there's like a timer right here, so you're DPSing and such. So like, I wouldn't be here because then the enemies would just punch me in the mouth. I'm like, okay, I got like a split second left before I'm out of Archon. I'll just jump away safely. Then I'm right here. And one thing I do is I'll start DPSing them to get back into Archon as soon as possible. And right before I go back into Archon, or if I get in trouble, I'll use Black Hole. It'll group up the enemies and pull them off me. And then it'll be easier to even DPS. You'll get back into Archon as soon as possible. And then when you use Black Hole, you're also getting a huge damage increase from Spell Steal. So it's siphoning life from the enemies and making you that much stronger. So I hope you have a better understanding of how to play Archon Wizard. I hope you have fun in Season 16 and beyond. This is a great build. It's an oldie but a goodie. This used to be our bread and butter, but ever since, since back in the day, we've gotten Frozen Orb, and EB is stronger than ever. And there might be maybe some Spectral Blade builds popping up, some Lawn stuff, who knows? There might be other builds that are in the front. It's good to have options. Wizard is like Monk, where there's a lot of different options in terms of speed farming. So, but in my opinion, this would be the fastest, say 80 to 99 speed build. So it does have a niche, but hope you enjoyed the video. Follow me up above at twitch.tv/bloodshed. I stream there Monday through Saturday, about 10 to 6:30. And I'll be streaming all season long. I'm a Diablo through and through. You don't have to worry about me, chat. All right? This is the Bloodshed, and I'm out of here. Peace.